Welcome to a special edition of the Spotrac podcast. My name is Mike Ginnitti. Today, we're going to manage a roster, an NFL roster. We're going to do this 32 times, obviously one per team, as we approach the March 11th free agent season and plenty of moves to come leading up to that. That's the plan of action today. We're going to take the Arizona Cardinals roster using Spotrac's roster management tool and project out a couple of moves to clear up some cap space and a couple of roster spots before we head into March. Let's get cracking. By the way, this all facilitates an offseason piece I've done for each of these teams that kind of breaks down bubble candidates, trade candidates, extension candidates, etc. We're going to process many of those moves here using the tool so you can kind of see where things stand from a cap perspective and just what might be happening over the next couple of weeks with your respective team. Again, if you haven't used our roster manager, this is the screen you'll see. This is an app. This is a mobile app. You can download it in the iOS store. Select your team. We're going with Arizona today. Manage your team, and you'll see an actual real-time live look at what the Arizona Cardinals situation is right now from a roster standpoint. So there's 61 contracts on the books. Only the top 51 cap hits apply right now, and that runs all the way up until week 1 of the regular season. And based on those caps and the projected league cap that we have, which is 303 and change, Arizona sits with about 34, close to 35 million of cap space, according to our numbers. So let's make some moves and open that up. By the way, what else does that include, this 34 million? It includes these 51 cap hits and any of the dead cap currently on the books. So if you flip over to here, as you can see on the screen, not too much to deal with for Arizona. The Justin Jones release in December made a bit of a dent here. Other than that, it's pretty cut and dry here, just some standard in-season moves that carried into 2026. This will obviously become larger, not only today after we do these moves, but in real life as moves continue to happen for all of these 32 teams leading up to free agency and then throughout the offseason. What's not included? The draft pool is not included yet. Why? Because it's February, and these contracts are not going to officially hit the books until at least May, most likely June, sometimes July with some of these higher picks. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't budget for it. And we've given you the ability, if you want to come and use the tool and you want to make sure that these cap hits, which are these subsequent 2026 hits for these specific picks that we're projecting for the Arizona Cardinals, if you want to include them right now and bake them into the cake, click that button and you'll see the draft pool falls off here, okay? The log is updated to assign these draft picks accordingly, and we can go back to doing work. I'm going to exclude the draft pool for now because it's way too early to factor that in. It's kind of a back of mind type of move. That's one good contract conversion, and you've got your draft pool figured out for the upcoming months here. So just some transparency as to how we do things. All of the cap views and financial views you're looking at for NFL on Spotrac are excluding draft picks right now. We make note of them. We show you what they're going to be worth, kind of pound for pound, but that's not baked into the cap space as of yet. Because quite frankly, with this top 51 situation, really only the top 1, maybe 2 picks each team makes are going to factor into this bottom line top 51 after this is a 90-man roster starting in March here, okay? So it's not just laziness on our part. It's an actuality of what's going to happen on the top 51 throughout the course of the next couple of months. So, all right, let's get to some moves. I think one of the no-brainers that I wrote about quickly in December, unfortunately, James Conner just wasn't healthy, obviously, in 2025. He's got a sizable cap hit, though certainly it's not something that's untenable, but he's also almost 32 years old. We're going to take action here and release him, which, as you can see here, has added $7.5 million of cap space. So these are the places to be looking as we log this, and please feel free to come in and do this yourself and take a screenshot of what you've done, post it on the socials, and we'll sort of give you our thoughts based on how things have progressed here. Second move. I think it's safe to say that at least one of these offense or defensive linemen are probably going to be pushed out here, whether that's Nichols. Obviously, Justin Jones has already been pushed out. There's a world where we can get ourselves into maybe an edge rusher at some point in time as well. But I think the safe move here is to move off of Tomlinson, who is 32 going on 33 by the time the season starts. It's a top 5 cap hit for Arizona, and the guarantees have fallen off at this point. So we can free up another almost $9.5 million. And now we're at the 50 mark. So let's work in the inverse now, and let's try to keep somebody here. We've got a fifth-year option situation for Paris Johnson. We have exercised that option for purposes of this tool. So when you go to extend him, and we're gonna select our market value extension, you can see that the rookie contract has 2 years and $25 million left. That's including that fifth-year option. So we're baking that into the cake. Let's add 3 years to this to make it a 5-year total contract. Our market value says it's worth about $66 million. We're going to round that up here and make it exactly that. And we're going to put him on a nice, clean $20 million signing bonus and on a minimum salary because he's making 21 and change cash this season. And you can see what happens. Okay. Only a very slight increase in salary cap. So he's got an almost 9 right now. We're going to bump that up to about 9.5 with a 3-year extension. And you've locked in an offensive tackle for the next 3 years, guaranteed 5 years total at really not much damage to your salary cap for the 2026 season. Josh Sweat, I think he's one of the players 100% locked into this roster, at least for 2026. And while there's ample cap space, we can free up a heck of a lot more here by processing a salary conversion. So we're going to do that right now, cut that thing in half and free up right about 7.7 million. Now we're getting into some really nice numbers cap space wise for this team. Couple more moves here. Again, injuries with Sean Bunting. It's a secondary that kind of needs to be rebuilt outside of Budda Baker, although we could probably talk ourselves into a trade situation for Baker. We're not going to do that today here. We are going to move on from Bunting, though, all right, and free up more significant cap, again, over 7 million to push us over the 60 mark with top 51 cap space. And I'm going to stop there. There's plenty of more moves to make. Like I said, Nichols could be a bubble candidate here. There's some conversions you can make at the top of this list. If Budda Baker is going to stay, you certainly can process some cap conversions here and really free some significant space. And just so I can show you the tool a little bit here, let's say it's a max conversion for Budda Baker. Okay, frees up over 10 million. If I decide I don't want to do that because he's over 30, he may be a trade candidate. Let's kind of cut our losses a little bit here and preserve what we have. We can simply undo that move and put it back into the fold. And it's like it never happened because we're kind of video gaming this thing here. And then let's get to the big move. All right, we're going to trade Kyler Murray. I think the writing's on the wall. It's the elephant in the room right now. I'm not going to go through the hoops of selecting what the trade package is, but you certainly can. Okay, you can click create trade. You can find a partner. I think this one is a very likely candidate. You can bring in some players, or you can go down and find all of their future draft picks and have fun trying to figure out what it's going to take to get Kyler Murray off of the Arizona Cardinals and maybe onto the Jets this year. And subsequently, if you think you have to send a draft pick to get that done, you can do that at the bottom of this list as well. So you can have a full trade machine moment. For purposes of just the cap here, I'm just going to hit quick trade, which just sends him to an unknown team and processes the contract as it needs to be processed. So you're going to see we start with 52 million on the cap. Trading him frees up 34.7 million of cap space for Arizona, assuming that nothing's retained. And obviously you can find a trade partner to do that. So without doing too much damage to the roster, I think there are some roster moves here that are expected in Connor and Bunting. Tomlinson, again, is kind of one of 3 or 4 players on that defensive line that could be moved from. And maybe it's more than one. Maybe it's 2 or 3 here if this new regime wants to come in and kind of start fresh. And then really just one salary conversion, one contract extension, and one trade. And you can see that we've opened up close to 100 million of cap room for the Cardinals, who I would expect to be active here. Now, they don't have their quarterback in house as of yet, but we do have Jacoby Brissett on a very friendly contract here. It's a 1 for 5 remaining cash-wise. Maybe they need to bump that out. Okay, if Brissett's going to be kind of the bridge quarterback for not just this year, but maybe 1 or 2 years, depending on what the plan is at QB1, you can certainly go and process an extension here and see what happens and get what that gets you for cap purposes as well. Not many more moves to be made here. Okay, we can process this void, turn that into dead cap. That's going to happen anyway over the next couple of days as those void dates hit. And we can come flip over back here and you can see all the damage we've done to the dead cap situation. All right. Those voids have hit. Kyler Murray's dead cap per the trade, and plenty of other moves from the releases here that have now accumulated in this regard, but have freed up a significant amount of cap space going forward. So we've done our work here. It's not too damaging. There's still plenty of meat left on this bone in terms of the roster, and of course, there's ample space here with cap with trade picks, and hopefully a few more with that Murray trade to go back and rebuild this roster on the fly. So that's the Arizona Cardinals, at least an early projection of things that could happen this offseason, according to Spotrac.com.